In August 1976, the Allagash Wilderness Waterway in northern Maine offered nothing but vast, roadless lakes and dense forest. If you ran into trouble out here, you were entirely on your own. That deep isolation is exactly what drew four young men, twin brothers Jack and Jim Weiner, Chuck Rack, and Charlie Foltz. Three were art students, and Foltz was a Navy veteran acting as their guide for a rugged 2-week adventure. On their fourth night, they decided to fish after dark. The sky was pitch black until a massive, completely silent sphere appeared above the trees, bathing their canoe in a blinding white light. Chuck Rack flashed an SOS signal with his flashlight. In response, the glowing orb rapidly closed the distance toward them, sending the four men paddling frantically for the safety of the shoreline. But the frantic escape didn't end with them dragging the canoe onto the dirt. Instead, they suddenly found themselves standing on the beach. Their roaring campfire, which they expected to burn for hours, was reduced to cold embers. The men had lost several hours of time in the blink of an eye. With no logical explanation for the glowing sphere or the dead fire, this missing time established the foundation for a classic wilderness mystery. Exhausted and deeply disoriented, they didn't try to solve the puzzle that night. They simply went to sleep, finished their camping trip, and treated the strange light as an unexplained anomaly. 12 years passed. The men rarely spoke of the trip until 1988, when Jim Weiner began suffering from severe, recurring nightmares that he couldn't shake. In these dreams, he wasn't in a forest. He was waking up naked in a sterile, brightly lit room, surrounded by shadowy, non-human figures. The search for answers forced the group to revisit the missing hours, turning a single night of strange lights into a years-long investigation of their shared trauma. Seeking clarity, Jim contacted Raymond E. Fowler, an investigator who recommended regressive hypnosis. Regressive hypnosis is a technique where a subject is guided into a trance-like state to supposedly retrieve hidden or repressed memories. To maintain the integrity of the investigation, Fowler established a strict methodology. He hypnotized each of the four men in entirely separate sessions, ensuring there was no cross-contamination of their stories. Despite the isolation, the results were strikingly consistent. All four independently recalled the exact same sequence, being lifted directly from their canoe into a large circular craft by a beam of light. They described their captors with matching physical details. They saw humanoid beings with oversized heads, huge black eyes, no mouths, and grayish skin, who communicated with them entirely through telepathy. The memories included physical examinations. Each man recalled being stripped and placed on a table, where the beings performed invasive medical procedures, taking skin scrapings and bodily fluid samples. You had 4 separate sessions and 4 perfectly matching memories. To the investigators involved, this absolute independence created an incredibly strong case for a shared physical abduction. The credibility of the men bolstered the investigation. Before the trip, none of them had any documented interest in UFOs, and they had no obvious financial motive to invent an elaborate lie. To test their truthfulness, all 4 men sat for professional, independent polygraph tests. All 4 passed, confirming they genuinely believed the stories they were telling. Fowler compiled these meticulously documented sessions into a 1993 book. Soon after, the story was broadcast to millions on national television, cementing the Allagash incident into mainstream culture. By the mid-1990s, the Allagash incident was a cornerstone of UFO literature because it offered a rare consistency: multiple witnesses whose stories remained perfectly aligned through years of professional scrutiny. Yet, the entire investigation relied solely on the human mind. There were no traces left on the canoe, no physical implants, and no photographs. The total absence of physical evidence remained a glaring omission. This lack of proof points scientists toward false memory syndrome. False memory syndrome is a psychological condition where a person strongly believes in memories that are factually incorrect. This diagram illustrates the mechanical danger of regressive hypnosis. Instead of unlocking a hidden truth, A highly suggestible subject in a trance state can inadvertently construct fictional memories to satisfy the prompts of the hypnotist. In the late 1980s, pop culture was saturated with UFO imagery. These ubiquitous tropes acted as subconscious raw material, contaminating the men's minds and providing them with identical visual details to fill in the blank spaces of their missing time. A matching story is not physical proof. It simply demonstrates that when isolated human brains are exposed to the same trauma, suggestion, and cultural imagery, they process that information in predictably similar ways. The unified front of the witnesses held for 40 years. Then, in 2016, Chuck Rack recanted his entire story, claiming the abduction was a hoax fabricated for book deals and fame. The remaining 3 men vehemently denied Rack's allegations. To this day, Jack, Jim, and Charlie stand firmly by their accounts, insisting the abduction was real and that Rack is lying. A case that derived its power from perfectly unified witness testimony is now irreparably fractured by internal contradiction, leaving researchers with a broken narrative. The Allagash incident shows the strict limits of human testimony. No matter how perfectly 4 stories align, or how sincerely the witnesses believe them, extraordinary claims ultimately require extraordinary physical evidence.